So if somebody's listening that has some of these conditions, constipation, hair loss, just general kind of funk and fatigue. What are some tips to get them going on their plant-based journey, but ease them in?
Ease them in, because that's an important one. You don't want to do the cold turkey that I did and then just go back and say to yourself, why did I do that? The first tip is to know your why. You want to know why you're doing what you're doing. Before you do anything, before you guys started this podcast, you needed to know your why, right? You needed to know why you're doing what you're doing. You want to help people. And when you kind of just go into something willy-nilly, you kind of lose, when the tough times come, you kind of lose orientation. Like, why did I even do this? But when you have your why, even if you have to post it on a board someplace to remind you, you keep uploading. You keep going. And so that's whenever someone's like, oh, I want to go plant-based, I say, well, what's your why? Sometimes it's like, well, I want to look good in that bikini. And I'm like, okay, well, that might be why enough for you, but it may not work for someone else. But when you talk about, I want to have enough years ahead of me so I could play with my grandchildren, or I want to walk my daughter down the aisle, or I don't want to pass the way my dad did, then I find that those whys, they stick. And then another suggestion would be, what do you like to eat? Okay, I like mac and cheese. I like pizza. All right. Did you know that there's a vegan alternative? Sometimes even tastier without all that bad junk. And then making a list of this is the exciting part, right? Just to ease them in. So it's more approachable. Write down all the foods you like and then scour the internet now and find substitutes for each of these. Oh, I found a really good mac and cheese recipe that's vegan. Oh, I found a pizza recipe that's vegan. Oh, I found a chili recipe that's vegan. And then you want to pick a day out of the week. Maybe it's a meatless Monday where you make those and you eat plant-based the entire day. Usually, it becomes less intimidating. And they're like, if I could do one day, then maybe let me try 2. If I could do 2 days, let me try 3. That's kind of how I got my husband to go plant-based. I was not trying to make him go vegan or anything, but because that is a conviction I feel. When we were dating, I was like, I'm not going to try to change you. I want this to come from you. Even though I didn't want to cook out of 2 pots, cook 2 pots when we were married, it's just one of those things where I'm like, my love for you is greater than the way you eat. And I started just making lunch for him and dinner. When we were dating, he'd come over and I'd just have some lunch and stuff. I never told him like, hey, by the way, this is vegan. Or by the way, this doesn't have any meat in it. But he started eating. And one day he was sitting next to someone. He's like, oh yeah, I'm a vegan. Ladies, I almost fell out of my chair. And I'm like, what happened? Like, can you update me on this new status? And he's like, well, I've been eating this way for so long and it's good. And I realized I'm not really missing the other stuff,
Yeah.
So that's what I tell people. Start to enjoy the plant-based foods and find flavors that you like. Chances are that you're going to fall in love and just stick with it.
Don't you think that's good to have some staples in your pantry that you can go to for like a quick meal so that you don't order in from the fast food place around the corner or whatever? So what would those be that you recommend that people start getting into their pantries?
Yeah, oh man, that's so important. Many times I hear people like, well, I love this lifestyle, but I can't do it because I'm just too busy and I don't have time to cook. And that's the reality for a lot of people. It's my reality as well. And the way I remedy that is by meal planning. So that's one part of having your stuff, your backup food. So you don't binge on chicken wings. So having a day out of the week where you can meal plan and you get your favorite plant-based meals, and then you cook enough to spread out over the weekend, or even 4 days or 5 days. Some people do 7 days. Some people go beyond that with freezer meals. And then just some quick things. Make sure you have enough fruit and vegetables. Buy some apples, buy some things that you could just eat on the run. Buy some apples, buy some nut butter. You could take some rice crackers and slap on some nut butter on there. Buy some stuff where you can make a trail mix, where you can just put your raisins and your nuts together, maybe some dates and coconut flakes, and go to town with that whenever you want to binge on a snack of some sort that's not the best. I love hummus, and making sure that you have some chickpeas, whether you use canned, that's up to you, or whether you like to pre-cook them in a crock pot of some sort or an instant pot, making sure that you have that so you can make a batch of hummus. And hummus lasts for a good little bit. And it's great with crackers.
I have a story about hummus actually. When I was researching you, you were talking about how much you liked hummus, and and I suddenly got this desire. You were talking about chickpeas, I think, and I got this desire for chickpeas. So I started looking, and I literally stopped my research on you, went downstairs, opened a can of chickpeas, and put nutritional yeast on them and some garlic powder, and then spread them on a tray in the oven and bake them, and then I had them as a snack.
Oh, thanks for sharing. I might have to do something after our talk here.
What's this about soaking buckwheat and oats in apple cider vinegar? Those things together just did not make my mouth water.
Yeah. Right. Well, the soaking is because of the phytic acid in grains. So phytic acid is sometimes it's touted as a really bad guy. All grains have phytic acid, by the way. But what phytic acid can do is it can kind of rob you of certain minerals and nutrients, and just kind of make it hard to absorb that stuff. But phytic acid could also be act as a type of antioxidant to the body. So, but too much can be a bad thing. And so what I do is I just soak my grains in water with a little apple cider vinegar or sometimes lemon. And I just soak it overnight. And what it does is actually reduces the phytic acid, sometimes by up to 30%. Now, because I do it all that, like, for example, oats, I think they are the grain with the most phytic acid. And so I like to soak my oats when I can. And then for the buckwheat is very low in phytic acid, but because I just soak everything, I just, hey, heck, just soak my buckwheat. And it's going to reduce the phytic acid there too. So that's what that's about. That's what the soaking is about.
But you have to rinse them off after so they don't taste.
Oh,
Acid,
yeah.
right? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they don't really taste. It's just a little bit of apple cider vinegar, maybe a bowl, a whole large bowl of water to maybe a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar or something like that. But definitely, you don't want to cook your food in what it was soaking, especially like for beans. If you want to like reduce flatulence and all of that, just rinse it and then cook it.